You are listening to the Screen to Screen Selling Talk Show hosted by Doug DeVitri, your source to increasing sales, productivity, and the customer experience. In each show, we will sit down with world-class thought leaders to discuss latest trends, innovative concepts, and ideas to keep you ahead of the curve using the latest technology.
Welcome back to the show. Very special guests today, best-selling author of No More Excuses and Non-Negotiable, my friend Sam Silverstein. Welcome to the show today.
Oh, it's great to be here. And the best part about that introduction is you said your friend, and I appreciate that.
You know, one of the things that I look to you, not just the expert on accountability, but really making sense and breaking down relationships that are involved in the business environment. And if you could please tell us the difference between responsibility and accountability, because sometimes we can get confused with those two words.
Exactly. And you know, you use the key word relationship, so we're going to get to that in a minute. But when we look at accountability, we differentiate that from responsibility. And we define accountability as keeping your commitments to people. Keeping your commitments to people. And commitments is a pretty heavy word, but sometimes we don't take it maybe as serious as we should. There's always a relationship involved in accountability because people are involved. Now we define, differentiate. You're responsible for things, but you're accountable to people. Now think about that. You're responsible for that report. You're responsible to get that work done. But you and I have an accountability to each other. And that's the key. Just remember that report will never, ever hold you accountable. But we'll hold each other accountable, or is what we like to teach to our clients is we'll help each other be accountable. And that's a whole different approach in itself.
Yeah, and one of the things that, with the new technology that's available that says that it will hold you to be more accountable, where does that really draw the line? I mean, can apps really hold people accountable?
Well, that's just it. They can't. And this is the big misnomer. I was just listening to something online that someone's selling this online system with mastermind groups and all this stuff, and they throw around the word accountability, like it's nothing. And it's really responsibility. There's certain things that we're responsible for. And so, yeah, we need to do those things. But accountability is based on a relationship. And those organizations that we work with where accountability is really high in the organization, we find that they've mastered relationships. Because when you have a great relationship, you're going to want to be accountable. If you don't have a great relationship, you're not going to want to be accountable. And that has nothing to do with what I'm responsible for and doing my job and getting the stuff done that I am paid to get done.
No, that's really good. And if we can dig a little bit deeper and look at a couple of examples, maybe we can talk about how we can hold our sales team accountable, but then also maybe how our customers will hold us accountable.
Well, when I look at the organization, we really look at the organizational culture. And what we find is accountability is an outflow from having the right type of culture within an organization. You don't go into an organization and tell people they got to be accountable. It doesn't work that way. You create a place that literally prioritizes accountability and inspires people to be accountable. And that's built on top of a relationship. That relationship is multifaceted. So there's a relationship between me and the CEO of the organization. There's a relationship between me and my peers in the organization. And so there's also relationships between me and my suppliers or me and my customers. And it's these relationships that accountability is built around. So getting those relationships in place is really key. Now, in a company, really at the very core of those relationships are the values of that organization. And so those organizations that have taken the time to determine what those values are, create clarity around that, model the values, teach the values, live the values consistently. What happens is we find that they hire to the values, they fire to the values, and they create a place where people understand this is how we do it around here, and they stay consistent to that. And when they do that and you have relationships in place, then accountability is off the chart.
Yeah, great. And then if we move into where we're actually working with our customers and our customers might hold us accountable, what would be some examples of that?
Well, it's not even that customers have to hold us accountable. If in this organization we say that we value customer service and we define that with clarity, that the customer experience is everything we are, whatever words that you use in your organization, then what happens is, if that's a value of this organization, as a leader, I'm constantly challenging my team, and I'm saying, okay, guys and gals, where is this showing up? We said this is what we value. How are we living it? Where is it showing up? Because you know what? If you work for me, Doug, and you can't show me where the customer experience is everything we are, is showing up in our organization, then as far as I'm concerned, you're not living the value and it's not happening. The customer should never, ever have to hold us accountable. We should be accountable to them on the front side. It should be proactive. It should never have to be something that comes back to us.
Well, then that's interesting, Sam, because I think a lot of what leaders do is they might put out this mission statement, and here's our values, and here's what we are. But at the same time, that might not necessarily be reflected in their behaviors. So how do you take it up to the very top of the leadership to say, hey, you know what? We're not living to what we say we're doing without, jeopardizing your job.
Exactly. That's what we do as an organization. We go into companies and we help them really establish what their values are. And sometimes organizations don't have any values, and sometimes they have stated values and they're printed on their website, or they're in their stockholders report or something. But that doesn't mean that they're being lived, that they're being modeled, that they're being taught. Our clients teach those values when they hire new employees. Our clients know how to take those values and make them at the very core of decisions that are being made. And when it's something that is just all through the fiber of the organization, then those values go from being on a piece of paper to being in those individuals. And when they're in those individuals, they're living them. And what happens is, with our clients, if the people aren't living the values, then they're allowed to go someplace where that kind of behavior is appreciated.
No, and that's definitely one of those things that kind of will say, well, wait a minute, are we really living our values? And that's really defined by us actually doing what we're responsible for.
Exactly. See, if our actions don't align with those values, which is the same as when I said, hey, Doug, where is it showing up in our organization? Yeah. If our actions don't align with our values, then they aren't our values, period. You can't tell me you value customer service, and then if great customer service isn't showing up, then you don't value it. It's not there. And so we have to take this from a business school exercise. They teach you in business school. I call it MBA crap. Now, I got an MBA, so I can say that. But, you got to have a mission statement and a value statement, and you got to have a goal, and you got to have a business plan. And, yeah, all those things are great. But to come up with what your values are in an organization and then not doing something with it, you don't get credit for just getting a check mark. Well, I figured out what my values are. Well, no, you haven't. Not until you've internalized them, until you're modeling them, you're teaching them, and then you're making sure that everyone in your organization is living those values.
Well, Sam, I definitely value your expertise. I value your perspective, and I value your friendship. And I really appreciate you being a part of the show today and helping our viewers really make sense of what accountability really is.
Well, it's my pleasure, Doug. And if somebody, a viewer, wants more information, they can go to samsilverstein.com or beaccountable.com. And on YouTube, it's just YouTube/C/Sam Silverstein. And we have a ton of free videos and information, and we love to be of service.
You are listening to the Screen to Screen Selling Talk Show, hosted by Doug DeVitri, your source to increasing sales, productivity, and the customer experience. In each show, we will sit down with world-class thought leaders to discuss latest trends, innovative concepts, and ideas to keep you ahead of the curve using the latest technology.
Are you ready for more meetings in less time with less expense? Screen to Screen Selling has answers. Screen-to-screen selling is the fastest way to increase sales, productivity, and the customer experience. Screen-to-screen selling is a mindset before it becomes a skill set. Let's look at your beliefs.
Or even join.me.
Receive access to upcoming episodes of the Screen to Screen Selling Talk Show, special announcements, and insider resources. devitri.co/screen to screen. Order Screen to Screen Selling from 800 CEO READ, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, Books A Million, and McGraw-Hill Education.